We have a couple concerns. I think we're concerned about the lack of exchange of air in the building, being unoccupied. That can be remedied, and we'll be working on that. We're going to keep heat in the building, although it's much lower than it would be if it was occupied. Structurally, from a cursory inspection, it looks in fine shape for a building that's 90 years old, part of the building that's 90 years old. The roof is in very good shape, relatively new. There's a few things that we're going to go up there and take care of ourselves, some caulking and things like that. And we've got one piece of membrane that needs fixing, but the roof is pretty tight. And overall, in the entire inspection, the building is weather tight, which is a very good thing. The windows, I know when they were installed back in the 80s, I believe. Everything looks weather tight. There is no water coming into the building envelopes, and that's a great thing. So other than the temperature at the time we went in there being in the upper 80s, it's in fairly decent shape for what we have. So also on that note, and I was talking to Denise just before the meeting, I spoke with Grayson Williams of AMPDC this week, who brought me up to speed on the work that you're doing as far as repurposing Firehouse. They've hired, of course, the consultant Hills Studio in Roanoke. Hills has come back with some preliminary sketches, which I can share with you anytime you want to. I can also share the website with you. You can go right to them and look at them on the net. They would like to come, Mr. Williams with AMPDC would like to come and give a presentation to the council in the next few months as soon as they have a little bit more information. I told him we'd really appreciate that, and I'll be talking to him to schedule that for you. Building and zoning, 37 building permits, $3,400. Pretty self-explanatory. The website, after a couple weeks ago, after the WBOC story, we went into a little damage control. Kelly put up on our website a banner saying we are open per the governor's phase 3 reopening plan, just so that everybody would understand that we are not closed. I also contacted Evan Shotwell at the chamber, who went through and put out a press release, as they do and do very well at, and it went out to over 3,500 possible media outlets. So did everything we could to combat the perceived negative impact of that story. We got the draft minutes up on the website. There's a special button there. You can look at draft minutes before they're approved. CARES Act, the Waterman grants have all gone out. All the grantees have been paid. They are, to the last person, we're all very appreciative. And just for your information, we received, I believe, 9 applications. 7 grants were awarded, 5 $5,000 grants and 2 $2,500 grants. And to the last person, they were very, very appreciative. So that was our entire $30,000 set aside for Waterman that we have already dispersed. And we are currently applying for reimbursement through with the county. Today was the first day of picking up applications for a small business program. As you know, we have 55 grants available at the $4,000 level. So far today, about 10 applications have been picked up. There is a ad in the Chincoteague Beacon. It ran this week. It'll run for 2 more weeks. It's a 4-page ad that the grant will pay for, by the way, describing or advertising our small business program and what's available. I was hoping there'll be a few more applications picked up today, but we're at 10 so far. So we'll continue to push that. Our collection on business licenses is picking up a little bit. Girls are always doing a very good job of tracking those down. So other than that, that's what I have for general government.
Mike,
Yes, sir.
the 2 Watermen that turned theirs in, can you roll those over in the small business, the ones that didn't get selected? Because they were more business
Yes.
than they were.
Yes, absolutely. We'll make a point to contact those two businesses and have them reapply.
Right.
And I think that one of them already has, but we'll make sure they both understand that. Absolutely.
And my question on the firehouse, like you say, the temperature in the building, and that will cause mold and mildew. Is there a mold and mildew problem in the building?
Not that I saw, and Harvey and I did a very good,
Good.
very thorough, I mean, that's what we were looking for.
Right.
We saw some other things, but that's the thing we were
Right.
looking for the most, and I'm happy to report that I don't
Good.
see any evidence of
Good.
it right now.
That's good.
As you know, I've been in that building since a little tiny boy, and it always smells and looks the same when I go in there.
But that's really
That's
good,
the
because like I said, when you talk about that kind of, no air moving, that's when you get it.
Right,
That's
and
when you
and
get involved.
we're certainly sensitive to that, and we will make an effort to move air this time of year. And of course, we'll have some heat on when it starts to get cool outside. And we'll keep the temperature at a minimum to keep things from freezing. We discussed briefly winterizing the building. I don't know that that's the solution. I would rather see the building will stay more viable if we keep some heat in it. We don't want to see it get cold in there. We do have hardwood floors everywhere. That's never a good thing. So that's the plan right now. Any other questions?
One from me, anything else? Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Next up. Robbie.
Me?
Right, don't all jump at once.
I'm good, I'm gonna be quick. As usual, the police report is in your package, so the answer, as you can see, we picked up a little bit of business from some of the earlier in the summer months to what we're going now. One thing I did want to put down to the bottom, you see we're in the process of conducting our biannual online survey. That's on the police department Facebook page. So feel free to go on there and share it with your friends and family and everybody. Because we really do know, how everybody feels. I mean, good and bad. That's the only way we can try to make things better. So, appreciate it. Anybody got any questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
Where do you have that survey at? On your, where's the survey at?
The Shinklee Police Department Facebook
On
page.
Facebook page?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe it's through Survey Monkey. I believe
Okay.
is what they- All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good evening. You all have my report, and I'll certainly entertain any questions. I just wanted to give you a quick update that through the 28th, you see we had 95. Through the end of the month, the 31st, we ended up at 110 calls for service, which is only 12 less than last year, so certainly got busy during the month of July. Any questions?
I do have a question. As you well know, like I said, there's rules that just say, like, when we have and I'm glad we do, EMS that are from here, that probably, even on their days off, if something happened, would love to volunteer time, but it's not legal by the state. Is that right? It's not legal by the state to do
By the
that?
state, by the federal government, the Fair Labor Standard Act, they cannot volunteer for an entity in which they are a career provider.
Yeah.
Now, if they are here and there's a call and they're able to go, all they have to do is let me know within 12 hours that they've been on the call, and I just put them
Just-
on the.
And just pay them for that.
Mhm.
Well, that wouldn't be a bad thing either. I mean, like I said,
Oh, that-
and that's, I mean, we really don't have, if they come and need it, that's not even an issue either.
We've done it twice in the last year, so it doesn't
Right,
happen
so
a whole lot.
Right, but I'm saying, but it's still,
Mhm.
yeah, just pay them and then it's, good. That's good.
Thank you, Brian.
Last thing, like the other two gentlemen, you have a monthly report. We're happy to entertain any questions you may have on it. One correction I need to make. I was doing some, I guess, over optimistic projections on our water consumption. We're now over 3.5 million gallons. The good news is we are still over what we did last year for the month of July, which to me is a very good indicator of the many visitors you see on the island. So all good in the water department. But other than that, I'll be happy to entertain any questions at this point.
Harvey, I was looking at, fall paving. Maybe I should done this under Miss Ellen's when you give your report.
I didn't know I was.
You got one in here.
You're on there.
Public Works Committee.
Your minutes are in there.
Public Works.
Yeah, but it's not here.
But yes,
Um,
okay.
It's not.
Well, I'll go ahead and address it now if y'all don't mind. Priorities on the fall paving, you got Bunning Road 1, 2 Mumford Street, 3 South Main, 4 Ridge Road, 5 Tar Lane, and 6 North Main Street. I would love to see Tar Lane bumped up a little bit. That's lanes that,
Well,
Like a lot of- they
One
get-
good news, it's actually in the bid that's out on the street.
is this paving or is this tar and chip?
Pavement. It's
Pavement.
not
Not
asphalt.
paving, it's all blacktop.
Ha, there you
What
go.
I try to do with all this is,
Yeah.
take a combination of the condition of the road, how bad it's deteriorated, and the budget that we have to work with. And it actually turned out, real nice little, big package to do, Bunning. And, had enough money to do not only Tar Lane, but, that one little short section of North Main Street up by Mr. Myers. So
All right.
that is in the big package.
All right, my other Tar Lane is just one of those lanes that, like a lot of little other, like Savage Street and all them, I think, they're probably private though,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we got some public small lanes that I think have been overlooked for quite some time. Depot out here, all these, when I ride my Jeep, one of these bumps takes me off my seat, even going 20. What, is there any
You talking
plan?
about the firehouse or the ones we patched?
Yeah.
Well, all of them,
The ones we patched, I know they're hot.
yeah.
I talked to the gentleman that actually installed that road. There's not enough cover on those pipes. I hate to tell you this, but in a matter of 2 or 3 years at most, I would suspect that the ones we patched are gonna be back in the condition they were before we patched.
Yeah.
So we intentionally left them a little hot.
Well, for Robbie's point of view, it's a good speed bump, but I didn't know if there was
The ones at
anything.
the firehouse,
Yeah.
I'm monitoring closely. They're actually still settling.
Yeah,
Because that road was cut.
Right.
When it was cut, so just as soon as I'm convinced it's stabilized, we'll be putting a patch on there.
awesome. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Ms. Allen?
All right. Over past the visitor center, what are they drilling?
NASA Visitor Center?
Yeah. They were Thursday, they were right there where the broadband building is and where that big humongous valve has been placed.
Yeah,
They were drilling and I heard them. They hit rock or something. It was the greatest racket you ever heard.
I don't know unless they're putting them in another monitoring well. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm trying to find out why they've actually removed that backflow from running over there.
Oh, I don't know, but from there, and then Tommy was over yesterday, and they're over, you know where Todd was killed?
Yeah.
Right in that area where they have cut the bushes back and they are drilling. He thinks they might be putting down some type of a test well.
And that would make sense. That's probably exactly what they're putting in, is a more monitoring well, but I will find out, sure and let you know.
I meant to call you, it went off my mind Thursday.
I'd like to go back to another question, please, since you brought that up. Where do we stand with our property over there that we bought, that we were gonna do something with?
We obviously bought the property, did some test wells. There's some water there, but it's nothing to write home about what I saw. What we were trying to negotiate with NASA is being federally funded, of course.
Right,
Has all their money in different pockets. They have money for remediation, so they could spend $1.5 million on this filtration system. And they have no money whatsoever for new construction. So we have not pursued the wells because at this point in time, NASA hasn't owned up to funding any part of that. I know they had applied to Congress to have some of that money reallocated. And I don't know what the current status of that is, but I can certainly find out.
back to your first statement, you said that, is it gonna work for us though? Is that property gonna work for us?
We could put some smaller wells in there. The test wells we ran, which are a little bit smaller, but it's still a good indicator. We were getting 50, 60 gallons a minute out of it. our big producer, well for. Just to give you some comparison, I think we get about 370 gallons a minute out of it. So if we put anything over there, I would suspect it would be a number of smaller wells as well. You know, and does that justify constructing a pipeline to send it, down the road? I don't know.
But your test wells were what, 2-inch? The ones you done were 2-inch wells they drove, and your other wells were what, 6-inch?
Yeah, but we're.
So that's a big difference between how much water comes into a
Yeah, but
6-inch,
when you-
between a 6-inch screen and a 2-inch screen, that's massive. A 6-inch
Yeah.
pipe is like this, and a 2-inch pipe is like
Well,
this.
we look at the specific capacity, it's called, it's the production as compared to the drawdown in the well table. And we, even when you look at that, it's again, nothing, specific capacity is nothing to get excited about. So, good indicator if you could put in a 10-inch screen, and I still don't suspect we'd get the production we'd like to see.
That's becoming my fear, that the property's not gonna produce what we thought it would and what we're gonna need.
It'll produce some, you know, will it replace our existing wells? I don't know, you know, I think so, in my honest opinion.
Thank you.
Is the land leased as far as somebody growing something on there?
They talked about that one time.
Looks like it.
I
What's
don't
growing
know
there?
if there's a crop, I don't think there's a crop on there.
Yeah, I think so.
It's something on there.
There's a crop on there.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. I come
I
from.
think it's
Richland.
Hickman, I think it's the Hickmans, the Hickmans
No,
are
but
leasing, I
see
believe.
crops.
The Hickman, yeah, the Hickmans all have historically leased it, but I don't know if they went through us or not, or whether they
It's
just
Yeah,
It's about this tall.
Squatters, right?
No,
Yeah.
upon themselves, just playing it. I don't know.
I think Jim had a lease with them. Might have to call Jim and
Well,
find out.
hopefully
the
there's
story.
some revenue coming.
Yeah,
That's something else I'll check on.
Yeah, I think if you call Jim, I think he can hook you up with that.
Right, some revenue, at least you get something out of it.
yeah,
It's sitting there.
that's definitely,
Any more questions for Harvey?
Yeah, Harvey, the pickleballers, they said when you are doing the fall paving or something, you got some left over, and they said they would take care of the striping and stuff on the other court to get that other court. I guess they can't use the gym anymore to look this COVID stuff's over with, so they would like to have, when you got some left over, if you could smooth that one out for them, they said they'd take care of the striping and everything else,
Well, the
nets.
trick is having the budget left over out
Yeah.
of the Parks and Rec, so.
Yeah, just if they had anything left over, sometimes if that's the case, don't send them back with it and say, hey,
Oh, no, we won't do that.
send it and,
They don't do that very much anymore when they got in the recycling business. But yes, I certainly will.
Any further questions? Thank you, Harvey.
Thank you.
All righty, agenda item number 7 is committee reports. Just left Public Works, but we're right back into it. Ms. Richardson?
Okay. It's in your agenda packet. Anybody have any questions?
The only thing I really saw was the date needs to be changed. It says June 7th, not July
It
7th.
is changed. That is
Okay.
changed, and also down on the number 5, on the Warren membership, that's where it says that there is cost, there is no cost.
Mhm.
And then, those were 2 things. Kelly took care of that several days
Cool.
ago. And then it's on page 15, I think. It's a word, we would. I don't even know where it's at now, Bella. It's in there somewhere. But I would like Harvey to touch on the Sarbanes grant with the trail. About the QR code, he said right now we don't have money for that, but that can be put as a separate placard on the pole when we're ready. But right now, I think with the chamber, and they were gonna be the ones to kind of monitor it and help that, and right now, at financial, it's just not the time to do it. But, the maps, if I'm correct, the brochures have been ordered, Hardy? 2,500?
2,500.
2,500 of the maps has been ordered, so that comes out of the Sarbanes grant.
And it is also up in our budget.
Okay.
And on that same thing, Harvey, that, remember I was talking to you about lighting back there, that one backlight doesn't work.
The dollar bill,
Uh-huh,
the lights out.
yeah, lights
Yeah,
out.
with our license.
Yes, that's, like I said, I was trying, I never seen them like this, but no, that's totally out.
I have a question, please. Whoever,
Jump in.
but it's under this committee. I lived on, corner of Clark and Pension Street for a number of years. I've been stopped there a number of times for rolling the stop sign and all that. Robbie, have you had any of your boys out there doing, what have they come up with?
Yes, we've issued, several failure to stop sign
Yeah.
tickets, but, are you getting at the site?
Well, I'm here looking at, y'all talked about it. I know Matt, doesn't feel like it's necessary, and it may not be necessary. It just seems to me that's always been an intersection that nobody pays to either stop sign at either place there, especially when you're pointing towards Church Street.
Right.
Like you go Anderton or that way, I don't think that we've had anything that's been out of control as far as accidents or anything, but it's definitely
No, and
rolling.
we have had some complaints recently.
Yeah,
And I think the person that complained, basically, it was a dual complaint, it was about people running a stop sign, but also that they can't see.
you
When they
can't.
come up there, anybody coming out of,
Clark Street,
Clark Street.
you can't see.
No, I can't
Uh-uh.
even see in my truck.
No.
It's up, a little ways, so.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah.
might be a little bit of a hazard there also.
I'm kind of like Matt, I don't want to see blinking lights all over the place, but
Yeah.
I didn't know if there was something else.
Flashing
that-
lights ain't gonna make people stop.
Yeah, well, we know that.
I mean, they're not gonna run the stop sign, but they're not gonna stop. They're gonna roll through it regardless, because you
Yeah.
can't see.
Yeah.
Well, the guy that done the complaining, like I say, I told him right before election time, I said, that's a bad thing to say to a constituent before election time. I said, but it's not him that I was worried about with the blinking light. There is kids right around the corner that play basketball on the road, and that's the reason I wanted the blinking light, not even because of his complaint. He was the one complaining.
Yeah,
And I told him to his face, I said, man, look, I said something, but I do know that there are kids that play basketball right on, you know what I mean, and they're there, and
Yeah.
that's why, if anything, if it would help at all, if it helps even slow down a little slow when they're doing their California roll.
well, that's what I was wondering if, and like I said, I agree with Matt. I don't think we want blinking lights all over the place, especially because it's also a tight neighborhood there with a lot of houses, that's blinking in their front window and all that stuff. But I didn't know if something could be done to make people more aware of, stop signs ahead or
Put up them
four-way
white
or
poles like they
four-way
did
stop or
Short at the end of Ridge Road, and that'll make them stop.
say that again.
Just put those white poles up like they did at Ridge Road
Yeah.
intersection.
Yeah.
People stop there for no stop sign.
Isn't that the
So-
truth? I mean.
So I mean,
look,
honestly, all you gotta do is
that's-
put them up.
Yeah, they don't pay any attention to that either. They've made Chicken City and all that a four-way stop. I've watched that numerous times. And I've also noticed, when they're crossing bicyclists or coming off of from Libertinos to cross the street, they're not stopping to hit that button
No.
to, make them flash. Mike, I've seen a few people, Mike would probably know.
To be honest with you, I think I said here last time we were here, I sit on the porch and watch the kids love to push buttons.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
That's their favorite thing in the world to do.
yeah,
I know it's a flashing, but most cars stop that, like,
yeah.
if the light starts flashing, then most cars will
Yeah.
just stop.
But what I'm saying is the people that are going
Bicycle.
bicyclists
Not
are not pushing the light,
Right, they're just crossing.
Some, there
crossing.
are some, mostly the
the kids.
kids.
Well, that's like me on my bicycle.
Yeah.
If I rode down there,
Yeah,
most time, I haven't got where it's been real busy,
right,
so I'll just wait for one or two cars to go, and then,
yeah.
I mean, if it was a lot of traffic, then yeah,
Yeah.
I'll hit it, but.
It's a classic
people
case
make
all over the place of you can't fix stupid. People are gonna do what they want to do, we know that.
Right.
But,
But, like Mr. Tolliver said now, the crosswalk act, by, Pecos,
Yeah.
So far, everyone I've seen, if they've hit that button, people have stopped for it.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
so
advisable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially on that road.
But back to the four-way there at Pension and Anderton and all them, I don't know, maybe you talk to somebody at VDOT, get their heads together to maybe just somehow, I don't know if there could be do we got, Harvey, do we got a line there that, you know, a white line?
Yeah,
We got them
white
there?
line there, especially coming towards, Pension Street. And, some of our officers will sit there, anyway, just, of course, it's hard to sit anywhere,
Right.
It's
It's a bad intersection.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
for that.
It is. It's not an easy place to monitor.
Yeah.
But some of them have, and then, of course, when we get complaints,
Yeah.
I'll usually write it on our board,
Yeah.
and the guys will go, and I know the last time that, like I said, we got the complaint, they went there and, they wrote several, and, most time, I tell them too, it's one thing if you just pull up, and kind of ease out, but these are actually blatant,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
running right through, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I'm thinking probably right now, the sight line helps us some,
Uh-huh.
as far as people not feeling like, I know I don't feel real comfortable. I'm on my way home today, I'm, easing out to make sure nobody's coming
Yeah.
down Clark Street,
Yeah. It's hard, and that's the one bad place that it makes it hard, because you can't see anybody coming out of Clark
Yeah.
Street
Yeah.
if you're on Pension,
Mhm.
and vice versa.
Right,
You can see Pension that way, and you can see Anderton,
Yeah.
but you can't see
yeah.
coming out of Clark. Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Ella?
Robbie,
Yes, ma'am.
you or Harvey probably can answer the question. The line that's on Pension Street, when you go, you're heading north, stop sign is here, the line is up about another 10 foot. Is that better for that line to be there, or would it be better if it was back by the stop sign?
Are you talking about,
If you're coming north, if you're on Pension Street
okay, on
coming
Pension
north,
coming north?
you're at the stop sign, and then
I
the
think there's plenty of view there where it is.
but the white line, here's a stop sign,
Yes.
and then 10 foot up is a line.
Right.
So are you at the stop sign, or are you at the line? Which is it?
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
if you're coming out of Clark Street, you definitely have to pull up
Mhm.
past the stop sign to look to see if anybody's coming from Dollar General way.
Right.
That's
You-
because of this stuff on the corner.
It is.
I know.
But Miss Ellen, to answer your question, the stop bar should be at the stop sign, I'm not sure why it isn't.
Well, it's not. It ain't there. Am I correct?
Unless the stop sign may have gotten hit or something. and
Well,
moved.
that's what I'm thinking, yeah.
Yeah, it may have gotten moved back.
I'll get that
Because
corrected.
that's, you see people, all right, stop sign is right here, but yet the white line is up there. So do I stop here, or do I stop up there? I do both, but not everybody does that.
Well, again, I think, you talking about coming out of Clark Street or?
Coming out of Pension,
Coming
yeah.
out of Pension,
Pension,
heading
yeah.
towards the Dollar General.
Heading towards
Well,
Dollar General.
yeah, that one, but definitely Clark Street.
Yeah.
If you don't pull up almost into the intersection,
Right.
you're not
You
gonna
can't
see
see.
who's coming.
And the same thing with coming, going my way
Right.
home,
Right.
going south.
Yeah, you've
I'll
got
go
to
up,
pull like
stop,
further.
And then I'll ease out to make
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
I saw yesterday, I was at Clark Street in Pension, stopped. This car was at Pension Street, he came this way, I'm sitting here, and this guy come out of here, and they almost went together. I'm going, oh no, not in front of me, I gotta witness this.
Well, let me ask you all this. Is that something that the homeowner can be talked to about?
It's a sight triangle.
It is
in there.
definitely. I mean, then that's the house I used to live in, the one
I
the one
never
I'm talking
lived
about.
there.
And it's grown up.
It's got that,
It's a lot of
Everything.
pampas grass, a lot of
Yes, yes.
foliage there, and you can't,
no, it is bad.
you can't see it. Is that something we can talk to the homeowner about?
I think Harvey has been there and cut some of it back, but it needs more. Am I correct? Didn't you talk to him?
Well, yeah, we did try to back once, but, I need to look at the site triangle regulation
Yeah.
again, because as you all know, that's not a conventional, intersection.
No.
So, you know, we could ask the homeowner would they mind, look at it back and see what they say, but I don't know that we have the authority to require it.
Yeah.
We may, I'm not saying we don't.
I don't know if it so much needs cut back, cut down.
Well,
The Tang didn't have any problem cutting down my mimosa tree when I lived there.
that was a different group then.
Yeah.
To try to be nice to
Yeah.
you now.
Well, look, Joe Wesley was town manager then, and a woman complained because she wrote her wife on the sidewalk. And you know, between my exchange of words with her, well, the next day, the time was like they're cutting my tree, not just the limbs, but they cut the whole tree down, right down to the roots. Guess he was not happy.
Kenny in the past has addressed the site triangle distance, because there is something, I believe, there used to be something in the zoning code like that. So Kenny has looked into that before and written letters and that sort of thing, so I'll talk to him in the morning about it.
Anything further for Public Works with Mr. Bott?
No, I think we worked on that intersection pretty good.
Yeah,
Sitting back
I
to
think- I think we've covered that pretty good.
Yeah.
Real quick,
Yeah. Look, I know them, I know them both, I sold them the house, they're great people. I think that,
Yeah, I do. I
you know,
hate it, but
I think that they would understand, but who knows? Never assume.
No. All right, next on the agenda is minutes from the Budget and Personnel Committee meeting. Mr. Bott?
So we basically got together and talked about, as you see in your minutes, the CARES Act funding, and I don't believe there's anything else, Mike, that we need to add to that this evening. That's all good to go. And then we, there towards the end, we did have some open comment section. If you read in that, you did see, I mentioned, and Mike and I talked about possibly trying to get together some kind of long-term financial plan going forward that we are going to maybe look at from a committee standpoint and bring back to the council in the future. He is going to start working in the budget, as he relayed to me a little earlier than usual, I guess, so we'll keep you all apprised of that. That is the gist of what we talked about in the committee meeting. Unless anybody has any questions.
I think you're talking about the thing from the WBOC, I think, and we've had a really good summer with people. And I don't know about Robbie, I think most of the people that have come have been family people, the majority. And I know I'm out those time of nights, and 10:30, the sidewalk has predominantly been rolled up. And
It appears to me.
And we've had I think we've had a really good crowd, you know, like I say, the kind you want to come back again next year. But I think where a little bit of hurt came when the New Jersey governor and the New York governor said that when you go to Virginia, and we're not in that red thing, you know what I mean? You go to Virginia now, we're also going to quarantine you for 2 weeks. I think that was a little bit of you see a little bit of drawback there. But I think that was, but again, we've been really, the people have come here, have had a good time, and that's got a lot to do with our townspeople. And just they just need to get out from the city and come here and just do the things we normally do. And they're tickled to death, so.
Mike, related to that, how did June's meals and occupancy tax come in?
Meals tax, and I apologize, I had this in my report, didn't even mention it. Meals tax was about $120,000 through June. Transit occupancy was 166. So, and that wasn't for an entire month. So that was very good for the month of June. And if you look through, and I apologize again, if you look through your financial report that I gave you there, our expenses did outshine our revenues for that month. One of the big reasons in the general fund was that we paid our insurance bill for the entire year, which was a considerable figure, and we paid it for the entire year at over $150,000. So other than that, it would have been a decent month. And I'll entertain any questions.
But I think this year's June was probably better than last year's June.
It's possible. I haven't looked at the numbers, but it's possible. But I know last fiscal year, we did have a very good start to the fiscal year, which pulled the year out for us, even after COVID. So last year's numbers at the end of the season really helped us a lot through the fiscal year 20.
And really, evidently people not, a lot of districts and a lot of states not going back to school, but there's people, as you well know, Mr. Mayor, starting to make reservations for September. That's actually filling in more than would normally do.
Fingers crossed.
But that's, I mean, like I said, I think you know that, but you see it. I mean, you see that, as long as we're blessed that the COVID stays away, you know what I mean? But you see that even going into September. People talking, I say, man, go ahead and do it, because it is. September's even starting to fill up where it would normally do.
Be here before you know it.
Golly dang.
Turn around twice. All righty. Anything else for the, Mr. Bott, for budget personnel? Moving on. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes of our July 6th meeting? I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next on the agenda is to consider a cleaning contract. Mr. Talbot?
And this is pretty straightforward. The company that had our cleaning contract is no longer able to perform. So they stopped just short of their anniversary date. We did, Harvey did go to the next lowest bidder on the list. They gave us a price. The price was a good price. They're going to finish out the contract for the amount you see there through October of $2,300. And then they have an option to continue for a year and then another year. We did change slightly in that we will provide the materials for them through October, and we can change that moving forward. We probably will keep buying the materials so we can save some money on that. So we'd just like you to approve the contract through the end of October.
They seem to be doing a good job. I mean,
Very good. I think we're all pleased with, very pleased. The ladies in the office are pleased, and so the rest of us are pleased.
If you please them, you've done a good job.
I know, you know, last year things, or year before, weren't too
No.
good.
They'll let us know when they're not happy with it.
You need a motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
I'll
ma'am.
make a motion to go with contract here presented before us.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All righty, thank you much.
Thank you.
You know, you don't need to sit down, Mike. The neck, you're up, the neck. All right, up for your entertainment pleasure, is the adoption of their revised emergency ordinance. Everybody should have a copy of that. Mike did his due diligence and got in contact with two lawyers. One of them was good and one of them not so much. Is there any discussion needs to be had with them? I'll open the floor up.
I didn't, like I say, I just would probably go, when you change the whole thing, Brian, is just go back after a 10-day, and I think that's plenty, after a 10-day declaration of local emergency, that would just go back, as long as you can meet normally, go back to council rule after that.
Say that one more time, Gene.
Okay, like right now what we're in, it's not normal council rule.
Right.
You would understand that. So when you rewrite it, just so after 10 days, like you say, pandemics, these were made for like the one we're getting ready to do tonight, for hurricanes. When we get ready to sign it, it shouldn't last, hopefully it won't last but 1 day. You know what I'm saying, what we're doing tonight, it should be a one day thing. And we should be able to come out of this one, saying after emergency right away. But a pandemic's a different ballgame altogether when you go into a state of emergency.
Mr. Paul?
And Mr. Mayor, I should say that, and I'll just brief you on this particular ordinance. This is nearly identical to the ordinance you passed on the April 6th meeting. I added 2 sections to this ordinance and had it reviewed by one of the lawyers. The other lawyer sent me their own ordinance. Didn't say what we really wanted it to say. But the 2 sections that were added to this basically say C says that we can hold special meetings, giving notice to the public contemporaneously with members of the council. The subject of those meetings is going to be restricted to the state of emergency. We cannot conduct regular business at those meetings. We can't do a budget amendment, we can't approve street signs or street names, no regular business. The only business that can be talked about and decided on is business that pertains to the particular state of emergency. That fits with what everybody wanted to see, I thought. D says that the discussions, basically the mayor at the particular state of emergency still has the authority to act. However, the council in attendance at the meeting can give their blessing or their review of the mayor's decision at the same meeting. And theoretically, when everybody leaves, the decision has been made and confirmed, made by the mayor and confirmed by the council. But the only thing that can happen at this meeting is business associated with the state of emergency that we're in. Right now, we're meeting and basically regular council business, in regular order, about other things, but we are not meeting specifically about the state of emergency. And in order to conduct business per this ordinance, per these two sections of this ordinance, we will have to act in that way. We can call an emergency meeting, we can call it quickly, we can get everybody together, we'll notify the public at the same time. But when we convene, we can only convene and conduct business for that purpose, nothing else. And I sent this to the attorney, and he said, actually when I modified the ordinance with these two paragraphs and sent it to him, he sent it back within an hour, and we had discussed it previously, but he sent it back to me within an hour, changing one word. He changed wherein to therein, and said everything else is fine. It's perfectly in order to do it this way. Now, the other ordinance that came from, a sample ordinance that came from another attorney, both of these attorneys are VML recommended, by the way, basically said two different things. It says you can conduct a special meeting with notice it says you can conduct a meeting per section 2.23708, which says that you can do it contemporaneously with notifying the public. But it also says in the paragraph before that you have to give 3 days notice for a special meeting. And there was a lot of additional things in there that it was a lot of fluff. It actually gave the town manager quite a bit of power, which doesn't need to be done. Because the state of emergency, as it's done in this, is straightforward, it's simple. It gets to the point, and I thought it got done what we said we wanted to do, what you said you wanted to do, I should say. Perfectly willing to entertain any questions you have about it, if I can answer them.
Questions? Whoever wants to jump in?
I don't have any.
Anybody?
So, like I said, what you're saying, you can meet, but like you said, we can put our input into it, but in that state of emergency, the mayor still have the final say.
And that's per town charter, state code, town code, everything, that still keeps all of that. This ordinance keeps all of that intact. We're following the state codes, we're following the town charter, but it allows us to meet and discuss just that one thing, or any subject that pertains to that, any item that pertains to that one subject, I should say. But we can't come in and do any other business.
Which makes perfect sense. We shouldn't be talking about anything else but a state of emergency.
Correct.
Right.
So that totally keeps the line of not being surprised when something happens.
If emergency services coordinator or director tells us we need to meet, we'll be contacting the mayor and all the councilmen at the same time. I'll be sending you an email notice at the same time. I sent an email I have two email contact list, I have one that says council.gov and another one says council agenda recipients. I will be sending, and usually I prepare announcements. I prepare one announcement and I send it to both groups with 2 clicks. So everybody gets it at the same time. We'll be posting it to the website. Most of the time Kelly beats me to the punch and has it posted before I can send the emails. So everybody is notified at the same time. That's not an issue, and that's the same way we do agendas. So that should not be an issue. And then we're probably gonna make phone calls, because if you're somewhere where you're not checking your email all the time, we're gonna call you up and say, hey, mayor wants to meet, the emergency service director wants to meet, we're gonna have a meeting at 2 o'clock this afternoon. You know, we're gonna make every attempt to call you or to contact you, and at the same time, we're gonna be putting it on our website. We'll post it on, it has to be per state code, it has to be posted on the door here. So we'll be posting that there in the display case that there's a meeting, and we'll be putting it on the website. We'll be, we're not gonna send out a reverse 911 call. We'll stop short of that, but we'll put it on Facebook and the website as well. So we'll make every attempt to advertise it as we normally would. But I think the key here is like we're saying, only things pertaining to that state of emergency. And right now we're in 2 states of emergency. We have one for COVID, we have one for the blow that's getting ready to happen tonight. Okay, so if we were to convene to discuss the state of emergency, based on this to discuss the COVID state of emergency, we couldn't discuss the hurricane tonight. It only pertains to that particular state of emergency. And I think the original ordinance was very well crafted. All we had to do was add a few simple paragraphs there to make it legal to do what we want to do.
However, in essence, if we needed to discuss both, could we still, if you put it on the agenda like that, hey, we need to convene to discuss both of these emergencies, can you do that?
The specific ordinance discusses at the beginning of it COVID-19, so I would say no. We didn't do it generally to fit any state of emergency. Now, we could possibly do, and if you'll notice, this one is only good for 6 months. This takes effect immediately upon its passage, and it replaces the one that you approved on April 6th. And if you pass this tonight, it would immediately replace the one that you did on April 6th of this year. And it's good for the duration of the state of emergency or 6 months, whichever comes first. I like the warranty on a Dodge.
You got one that's about
I make the
20
motion
years
that
old.
we approve.
I'll second
second.
it.
Got a motion from Mr. Bott, seconded by 2 people.
Either one.
Whoever.
Flip a coin.
Yeah. All right, we have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank y'all.
Mr. Mayor, if I could.
Yes, Mr. Dalton.
I did not add something to the agenda for review of the state of emergency. Mr. Rush is here to tell you about the newest state of emergency.
Coming tonight. Special delivery.
So with, real quick, while we're still talking about COVID, I'll give you just a quick overview of where we stand with that. As reported on July the 16th, we were right around the $20,000 mark with money spent. Since that time, we spent close to $3,800. Most of that is in salaries for cleaning. So we're up to $23,955.66. As you saw in your report today, the state incident rate has dropped to 7.1%, that 7-day moving average. So hopefully that keeps going in the downward direction. We had gotten as low as 5.7 was our best. So hopefully the state will continue down. Here on the shore, only 3 new cases today. So again, we're staying, nice and steady with that, nice and low numbers. And here locally, we're still at 10 positive cases have been reported, with 293 people tested. Also, the conference calls for COVID have finally started to back off, and we're at just 2 a week now for that. So that's gotten a lot better. Over on the storm front now, you saw at the 5 o'clock briefing, the track is pretty confident right now. The center should pass somewhere around 50 miles to our west, which puts us on the east side of the storm. which is not the best side to be on, but the fact that the storm will be weakening does help, but it's still going to be a very strong tropical storm when it comes by. There's going to be a rather large fetch of winds out over the open ocean that won't interact with land, and that's what we're going to see. So we could easily see gusts of wind in the 65. Might not even be unheard of to see a 70-mile-an-hour wind gust, but it won't be sustained. Sustained wind shouldn't be any more than the 30 to 40-mile-an-hour range. Most of the rain in the projections right now will stay to the west side of the eye as it comes through. So we're saying safely 2 to 3 inches. There could be some higher amounts, but a lot of the models are showing us 2 inches of rain. So I would certainly say let's prepare for a lot more rain, but that looks good. I think wind is going to be our big factor here because we're going to start out in an east-southeast direction with wind and then rapidly move to a southerly direction because of the track. Most of the tidal flooding is going to remain on the bay side, so it's going to remain over around Saxis, Crisfield, out that way. So we should not, according to the Weather Service and all the models, we shouldn't see anything past maybe just some minor flooding at best. So again, a lot of that's going to be dependent on wind direction, and that's because the storm is moving so rapidly and then off to our west. But we do have the potential for some small spin-up tornadoes, unfortunately, because we're going to be on that right front quadrant of the storm as it comes through. Most of those, the larger probability of those should dissipate over the North Carolina coastline and inland later tonight and early in the morning. But there are still some possibilities with some of those rain bands that we could see a quick, brief spin-up tornado. We had one down here near your place. One of the storms, I can't remember. They're just real quick. It's almost like a straight line wind, but a lot of the damage is twisted. And again, it can do some damage, unfortunately. But that's where we're at with the storm. At noon today, we did declare a state of emergency for this event in the event that we may need to claim funds. I hope we don't have that much damage. Not projected to get that much, but certainly power outages and trees coming down are a big worry in this event. The ground is somewhat stable now because we haven't had a lot of rain. We've missed most of it this afternoon. It stayed off to our west again, but we could see a little bit of rain leading up to it. Nothing you're seeing now is of the storm. We probably won't begin to see those effects until about 2 a.m., 3 a.m. We'll start to see that. There's no plans to open the EOC tomorrow unless we get in the weeds with a lot of calls and things like that. The EOC will be done virtually starting about 3 a.m. From my house, and then I'll move it into my office tomorrow morning. And again, all the department heads have been briefed. We've had the Coast Guard, Fish and Wildlife has been in here. We've been in constant contact with them. I did make contact again with VDOT this afternoon. They will watch the causeway, even though there's no real potential of closure. They still will watch it just in case. So that's where we're at. Any questions?
Brian, have they got new plans for the refuge park over there?
So they do. We were told today they plan on staying open on normal hours. They have pulled a lot of the structures off today. The Park Service did just for protection. There is some issue potentially with the turn circle over there that it could get overwash if we have a lot of pounding of surf and the tide rises a little. But there's no plans to close it and stay on an open, normal schedule for now. So,
Where it's a weekday, they said they've got all the maintenance crews going to be there, so they've got all that equipment they can use to clear the road, do all that stuff. So,
Brian, for folks listening, as far as the tropical winds, what time frame if it stays on the current trajectory and speed can they expect the worst of the winds tomorrow?
the worst of the winds we should see somewhere around the 8 a.m. time frame, and they should, again, they're going to start out from the east-southeast. We'll probably see our worst wind once the storm passes. So those higher wind gusts will probably come more from the south-southwest than they will from the easterly direction. So certainly want to pay attention to that. If they have any trees or anything close to their home that could be impacted by a push of wind from the south or the southwest, even a little bit westerly too, would be concerned.
we're gonna start feeling some stuff, I guess, starting when, overnight or in the morning?
Overnight, the earliest, we might start to see some winds would be after 2 o'clock, and again, that's just gonna be breezy conditions, something what we saw
Mhm.
yesterday,
Mhm.
and then they'll begin to build. By daylight, should probably start to see some pretty good gusts, and like I said, most of our winds should come after the storm passes by. By late tomorrow afternoon, you might even see sunshine. Still be a little breezy, but Wednesday, it's gonna be a beautiful beach day.
Cool. Thank you.
Any further questions? Appreciate it, Brian.
You need a motion?
Yeah, he's got,
We've got, well,
We have a proclamation.
we do have the proclamation, and we do need a motion to accept the proclamation.
I make a motion.
Second.
Motion and a to nation of emergency for Hurricane Isaias.
Isaias.
I gotta look at it, it's
Isaias.
he's, yes.
Isaias.
And just for a quick update, I just got, the storm is now at hurricane force again, 75 mile an hour, which they did anticipate could happen before landfall, which should happen in the next few hours. I can tell you just real quick where it's at. 60 miles east of Charleston and 60 miles south of Myrtle Beach. So
Talk to Rita.
within the next couple hours, it
I
should be
talked to
making
Rita.
landfall somewhere in the
Rita.
South Carolina, North Carolina area.
Lord watch those folks down there. All righty, so we got a motion and a second. All those in favor of the declaration of local emergency for this tropical storm hurricane, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And we'll come around with the proclamation for y'all to sign. Hopefully, we'll be done with it tomorrow at 12 o'clock.
Hope so.
By dark.
Leave the door.
Said we have a beautiful sunset tomorrow.
Yep.
If you listen to Dan Satterfield at 6 o'clock, you would think the world was coming to an end.
Now, that's not what Mike said lunchtime. He said we should have tomorrow
No.
night, we should have a beautiful sunset.
I turned him off and went to Caleb Jeffries.
He's the local weather guru.
Oh, if Caleb told me it was gonna snow 6 inches tonight, I'd get shovel-like.
All righty. Moving on, mayor and council announcements. Ms. Richardson,
No, sir, I don't have anything.
Ms. Bowden.
Of course. First of all, thank you all for keeping me in your thoughts and your prayers. I had a rough week. I'm on the mend.
We're glad you're here.
But I have a very, very high tolerance for pain. This will knock me to my knees. Going back to something that Gene Wayne had said earlier today, I've talked to quite a few business people, really, over the last couple weeks. And actually, one of them told me yesterday that this has been her best summer yet. And I kind of think might shape up to be, you know, either pretty much on target or maybe even a little bit better. Authors in the business, and you know, Chris with your business and everything, I'm sure you see, and Billy with Cisco, but even though some of these restaurants are on limited space and limited, you know, times and stuff, I mean, it's, we've been packed, and, which I'm glad to see, and I think everybody that I've seen for the most part is practicing what they're supposed to do. I think there's always your exceptions, but seems to be good. Another thing I wanted to tell you all about, which everybody does know, very untraditional pony penning week. The auction was absolutely phenomenal. It was online. It did reach a broader spectrum, but I don't know if I mean, we had some beautiful foals, don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But I don't know if some of it was out of, you know, hey, let's help, not out of pity, but let's help them out a little bit more. But it was just phenomenal. And I made a statement on the fire company's Facebook page that, you know, that on behalf of the fire company, that I thanked everybody for what they've done, the public, what they've done for this town and what they've done for the firehouse, this year. Mary Esther with Pizza Night, that, those 3 things were phenomenal, those 3 nights. People just out of nowhere, I'd be walking the dog, would come up and stop their car and hand me a check. And so on behalf of the fire company, I'll put that hat on, fire company hat. It was a very, very humbling week, and that's about all I can say about that. We're back to baseball, and my Yankees are in first place, so I just thought I'd let y'all know that. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
I don't have anything at this time.
Mr. McCone?
The only thing I would have, first, I don't know if we did it or not, but there's a lot going on the last couple of meetings, but a shout out to the chamber as far as Chingtu being recognized as the #1 beach town by USA Today.
Yeah.
Small beach town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
small beach town, so that was huge. Those kind of accolades keep people coming back
Yeah.
here. And it's important that as things go on, that we do everything we can to support the chamber because they've been cut off by all this too.
Yeah.
So, and they've certainly done everything they can do to be budget conscious. So I think that's something that's going to come up at some point that we're going to need to lend some aid there. And then the other thing is just thoughts and prayers to everybody as we go through this storm. Hopefully, as Brian said, it'll pass quickly, and most of the impact will be somewhere other than here. And prayers for those people too. But that's all I got.
Thank you, Bill.
Well, as Billy talking about prayers, we want to keep our country. We are a totally divided country, and I know I pick on Miss Pat, and she knows I love her. I'll say it out loud. I don't care if she probably she goes, don't say that. But however, her and I are different as the day is long. But you know what? Just take Miss Helen Murray. I call her my Democrat friend, and I'm her independent friend. And in the same way, she's not here, but I tell her, listen, I love her, and she knows that. We can still have totally different ideologies and still get along and still love people. And we got to understand that. And I don't try to hide it. I'm in the middle, and I think people should come a little more, to get along. To get along, Hard right and hard left is not working for this country. It is not. Hard right and hard left is not working. And like you say, we need to get together and understand each other and love each other a little more. And I'm not trying to say anything religious here. We're not going to do that without God. We're not going to do it without God. And thank you.
Matthew?
I'm good.
All right. Well, it is August. And as you can see, I've got my Alabama stuff on. So my one comment is roll tide. Hopefully.
And we hope, we hope they roll. We hope they roll.
Hopefully the SEC will take off. All right. I will entertain the motion to go into closed session to discuss town personnel and acquisition of property.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.